Greetings and salutations, Earth people. What's going on out there? Robert Phoenix, broadcasting to you live once again from Austin, Texas. Getting a little bit of a late start today. That melatonin's a hell of a drug. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy! Get a little Flavor Flav in there. What's happening this morning? There's a lot. There's a lot happening. Is there not a lot happening every morning? Wouldn't it be great to wake up one morning? It's like, there's nothing happening today. Nothing happened in the world today. And the next day, nothing happened in the world today. What if we got about 6 or 7 days of nothing happening? You just see news anchors sitting there, sort of twiddling their thumbs. And today, the latest developments in and now a word from our sponsors. Wouldn't it be great if we strung together about 6 or 7 of those days in a row? People would be looking around, what the hell's going on here? There's nothing happening. There's nothing happening. Let's make something happen. Come on, let's make something happen. Poke that stick in my face. We gotta have something happening. There's that scene in The Matrix where Mr. Smith talks to Neo about The Matrix. And that this was the second version of The Matrix. The first one was where everything was happy and good. And nobody liked it. It's true story. William Randolph Hearst used to have a newspaper in California called The Good News. The Good News. He said, I'm just going to have a paper that's all about positive stories. Lasted about 6 months, if that. Nobody bought it. Nobody read it. Nobody wants to hear about good news. Our lives hinge on tragedy and fate. And if it's not out there, we're pretty busy making it up, so we can get to that place and bemoan our existence. It's a tough role to play. It's a tough gig, but I think it's the mantle upon the responsibility of our shoulders with this planet and this part of the universe. However, that said, I do believe we're kind of over a lot of the conflict. It's getting a bit heavy, and we could use a bit of a break. I'll never forget, they'd have these ceasefires in wars. Like in Vietnam, they'd have a ceasefire. I always thought about this when I was a kid. Well, it's the holiday season, and the troops are participating in the Christmas and holiday season ceasefire. I'm like, okay, well, just keep ceasefiring. That's all you've got to do. Ceasefire, and just get the hell out of there. And everybody's come home, go play with their kids, try to work out those nasty heroin addictions that they picked up over there in Vietnam. Why can't they just keep ceasefiring? The weather here is starting to get pretty intense, I have to say. We had massive rain last night. Trees are dripping. It's cold. Feels like the holidays. I just have to get in that holiday season. That Sagittarian holiday season. Yo ho ho. I was watching a movie last night. I'm going to get to the news. We're going to talk about Jerusalem. We're going to talk Trump is a crafty mofo. Trump is an interesting guy. If you haven't figured this out yet, whether it's him or the clone or whoever is calling the shots, this Jerusalem thing is pretty interesting. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the person of the year. Wait till you find out who that is. And of course, we give you an update on the California fires. Probably do that first. It was really interesting about yesterday's show. I don't want to tell you about the movie I saw last night, though. was really interesting about yesterday's show was when I woke up and I saw that there were fires happening in Southern California. I was like, I'm going to put this right to the top of the pyramid, and got right into it. And I was actually kind of breaking news. There were people that were waking up and listening to the show, and were finding out that there were fires in Southern California through my broadcast. Now, they could have gone anywhere. Right? I mean, I'm not saying I had a scoop on the California fires. I wasn't there when it happened. I didn't get right on the show and start broadcasting live from the heart of the fire. So people could have found out from any number of other sources, but they decided that they were going to go here first. So I thought that was pretty cool. That on just kind of a regular news slant thing, that I was actually providing a news service. How about that? That was great. Anyway, I was watching this movie called The Master of Ballantrae last night. Yesterday was one of those days, I was not into yet another documentary, yet another news feed or source about the entanglements of the beast system and everything else that goes along with it. I wanted to escape yesterday. So I watched two movies, actually. One is Fat City. If you've never seen Fat City before, I highly, 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 highly recommend it. It is not a feel-good film. It is a really intense, gritty, kind of amazing movie with Stacy Keach, a very young Jeff Bridges. Candy Clark is in it. She has a small role. And the guy from Cheers who played Coach, remember him? He's in this movie. He's terrific. And Stacy Keach, it's kind of like a Barfly meets Rocky. Stacy Keach plays a kind of a washed-up boxer, and he's trying to sort his life out, try to sort his heart out. And the only thing he can do is box. That's the only thing he can do. That's it. Nothing else. And Jeff Bridges plays a young guy who's up and coming and, get knocked around. It is not a Hollywood movie as we know it. John Huston directed it, but it's considered to be one of the 74 films you should see before you die. I should find out what the list is and read them, see where you are with it. So hopefully that wasn't my 74th film. I'm not ready to go quite yet. Anyway, the second film I saw, because that was so gritty and so real, it's like, and plus the other thing too is that you get to see America in the 70s. The film was shot in 1971, so we're just coming out of the 1960s, and everything about the film smack 70s, from the hairdos and the fashion. And it was shot in Stockton, California, so we would probably say the lack of fashion. To the bars that they go to and the places they go and get coffee. I mean, it's a really very stark and gritty film. Probably one of, I think, John Huston's best films of his latter film career. But the second film I saw was The Master of Ballantrae, and it was with Errol Flynn. This is Errol Flynn in the 50s, who looks like he's a little puffy all the time from drinking a bit too much. And he plays a guy who is rebelling against King George, the House of Hanover. And they're trying to defend the Stuarts. I always like a good Stuart versus Hanover conflict film. And he gets defeated. The Scots get defeated. They roundly get their asses kicked. And he winds up becoming a pirate. He and this Irish guy wind up becoming a pirate. And if you've seen Braveheart, you've got Mel Gibson, who plays the main character in Braveheart. And one of the guys that joins up their band of rowdy Scotsmen who are taking on the English is an Irish guy. And he's a very funny, loquacious, very Irish kind of Irish guy. Same thing happens in The Master of Ballantrae. So whoever wrote Braveheart, I don't know, maybe Mel, I don't know who wrote Braveheart. But they saw The Master of Ballantrae, and they grabbed an Irish guy and they stuck him together. He becomes Errol Flynn's sidekick. Anyway, Errol Flynn becomes a pirate. He's a damn good pirate, let me tell you, that Errol Flynn. And I thought to myself, I like the idea of being a pirate. Being a pirate sounds pretty good, if you ask me. And I thought to myself, yeah, you know, I identify with being a pirate. Because pirates are outlaws, right? They're not just outlaws, but they're on the fringe of society. You know, they're kind of operating under their own code. Although, if you really understand the history of pirates, many pirates are actually working for the Queen. They were disguised as pirate ships, but they're actually undercover working for the Queen in England. How about that? Yes, they were doing their own version. This is where we get the false flag, too, from the old pirate days, where they show a flag and then they show another flag. They pretend they're French, and all of a sudden the skull and bones come up. Oh no, we've been duped. Anyway, it was a nice little getaway for a moment in time. Not a great film. But if you're looking for a little sword action, a little sword play, not bad. Not bad. All right, let's get into the news of the day. So first of all, let's start off with Southern California. Let's find out what's happening there. The 405 freeway has been closed. And that's in Brentwood. Oh, there's a new fire. New fire burns near Getty Center. It's getting closer and closer. Here we go. Multiple are raging in Southern California. A series of Santa Ana wind-driven wildfires have destroyed at least 180 structures, forced thousands to flee, and smothered the region with smoke in what officials predicted would be a pitched battle for days. Here's what you need to know: the Bel Air fire. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fires going on right now. The Bel Air fire. A fire shut down the northbound 405 freeway near the Getty Center on Wednesday morning. The LAPD has ordered the evacuation of homes along Casiano Road, Moraga Drive, and Linda Flora Drive. Residents of Mandeville Canyon and Sullivan Canyon should be prepared for evacuation, the department said. We've got the Ventura County fire. The Thomas fire has reached the Pacific Ocean unchecked and jumped the 101 freeway into Solomar Beach. Man, when fires jump freeways, that is so freaky. I've seen that. When I was in Escondido, I saw fires jump freeways. Because what happens is that the winds are so strong. They're so strong, they will carry embers, burning embers, over 8 lanes. And the burning embers will catch on the other side. You can't do it without the winds. So, all right, here we go. It has consumed 50,000 acres, and 27,000 people were forced to flee. For now, the 101 freeway remains open. The Silmar fire, this is the Creek fire, that jumped the 210 freeway and has spread into Shadow Hills and Angeles National Forest. And of course, we've got the bark beetle. I don't know if they've eradicated the bark beetle in California, but if they haven't, you just have forests worth of tinder. The Santa Clarita fire, this is the Rye fire, that's spread to 5,000 acres, triggering evacuations and gridlock. And now we got a fire in San Bernardino. A blaze in the foothills threatened the city's Cal State campus on Tuesday and prompted the closure of the 215 freeway. So as of now, it looks like 50,000, 55,000. I'm assuming that we're talking around 70,000 acres at this point have been affected by the fire. Let's see what else we have here. What do we got? This is CNN.com. I don't want any video. I just want to get a text update here. So I might have to kill the videos. It surreptitiously pops up on my screen. So here we go. Wind-whipped wildfires raged for a third day Wednesday in Southern California, including a blaze near the posh Bel Air area and Interstate 405, threatening further damage and burning more than 65,000 acres.
It's raging.
So there we go. I knew it would pop up. If you do this after a while, you kind of get good at it. I'm getting there. I got a long ways to go. I'm a Virgo. Perfection. Always the goal. Always falling short, too. We're on our knees. When am I going to get it right? And then there's Pisces behind us. It's okay, my son. It's okay. It is divine to fail. That's what happened to the millennials, by the way, when they were young. It's okay. It's great to fail. It's great. You are so great in your failure. You are so heroic. I know you finished last, but you are the best last that there ever was. And sometimes finishing last is like finishing first. Because there's first, then there's everybody else in between. People remember who finished first, but guess what? They also remember who finished last. You're famous. You're infamous. Take pride in finishing last. The fires are burning extremely dry terrain along the northern and western edges of Los Angeles, and more extensively Ventura County, northwest of the nation's second most populous city. Heavy Santa Ana winds, blamed for spreading the inferno, still threaten to multiply the destruction. Among the smaller fires that popped up Wednesday, of course, is the 50-acre blaze burning near I-405, close to the Getty Center Arts Complex, Bel Air, and UCLA. Videos of that fire showed bright flames glowing ominously close to I-405 motorists early Wednesday. Yeah, if you haven't driven down a freeway and you've got fire going on the hills, man, it is a freak show. If you've never experienced it, I'm telling you, it is a freak show. You're just like, what the hell is going on here? The winds might die down during sunlight Wednesday. This is from today, obviously. But they're expected to pick up in the evening and Thursday, perhaps as gusty as 50 miles per hour, posing a risk of further spread. Smoke collected, even in areas that weren't burning. Health officials warned people in the heavily populated San Fernando Valley and other parts of the northern Los Angeles area to limit their time outdoors. So we got a curfew going on. Ventura had a curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Oh boy. More than a quarter of Ventura's residents, 38,000 people, have been told to evacuate. 38,000 people! That's not a minor evacuation. The second largest inferno is the Creek Fire. That's about 11,000 acres. So I think we're around 70,000 acres here. That's what I'm thinking. Oh, and there was a power outage. About 43,000 homes were without power Tuesday night, according to Southern California Edison. More outages are possible. Somebody on my in the chat on YouTube claimed that wires, power lines were cut. I wouldn't doubt that. So we got a big fire scene right next to Six Flags Magic Mountain. I've got some visual on that here. And it says the fire could go on for days. They need those giant... I've been talking about this for the last... When that fire broke out in San Diego when I was there, I was reading about these giant Russian cargo planes. They're the biggest cargo planes in the world. And the Russians have figured out how to fill the cargo bays up with water. And when these planes dump, they dump huge amounts of water. And if I was the state of California, I would have 2 of these planes. Because the amount of fires, I'd have a plane for Northern California, I'd have a plane for Southern California. And if there's a fire in Southern California, I'd mobilize them both. That's what I do. I was talking about this in 2004, 2005. Here we are, 13 years later, and we're still fighting fires with minor league equipment. I mean, I'm sure that it's okay, but it's nothing like... Look up these Russian fire bombers is really what they are. And if you don't want a Russian plane, build your own damn version of it. You know, we're the Elon Musks of the world. You know, if Google and Ray Kurzweil want to do some real good, build the ultimate damn firefighting plane. How about that? How about they throw their weight into something like that versus trying to figure out how to build the perfect robot so they can biometrically check our identity and then beat the shit out of us without any kind of conscience if we don't comply to the new rules of engagement and law and order in the 21st century. Build a freaking, build fire robots. Set the fire robots in. Build the giant fire Google fireplace. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's build something that actually freaking makes a difference. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, if you were a company like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Google, wouldn't you want to be credited with creating this incredible fire plane? It's based on the Russians' plane. It does all these things and dumps huge amounts of volume of water. I mean, wouldn't you want to do that? You'd be a freaking hero. That's not what they want, though. What they want is they burn. Let it burn. Why? Well, because guess what? We get to move people around. Speaking of moving people around, what do we got here? I punched this up. What was it? Let me just go back here. I found this to be interesting. There we go. Speaking of moving people around, California residents increasingly ditching their massive tax bills and unaffordable housing for guess what city? Viva Las Vegas! Los Angeles residents have apparently had just about enough of their city's excessive home prices, unaffordable rents, crushing personal and corporate tax rates, overly burdensome regulations, polluted air, and are increasingly leaving for a better life in Sin City. As Los Angeles Times columnist Steve Lopez puts it, the rent steals as much of your paycheck you might have to move back in with your parents, and half your life is spent staring at the rear end of the car in front of you. That quality of life. Quality of life. But you know what? They can give murderers sanctuary. That's the most important part of living in California. Don't you know that? That and forcing your kids to be vaccinated. Those are the best parts of California. I don't understand why these people have such a problem with the traffic and the taxes and all the things that go along with California. When there are real perks to living there. I actually kind of miss California, to be honest with you. But I don't miss that. I miss my life in California at times. That was a fun life, let me tell you. Texas, hey, this is great. I do this every day. Texas, not so much fun. Not so much fun. It's all astrological too, by the way. I'm penned in. There's only one way through, and that's through me. Through me in my first house. That's it. Las Vegas is one of the most popular destinations for those who leave California. It's close. It's a job center. And the cost of living is much cheaper, with plenty of brand new houses going for between $200,000 and $300,000. So the NFL is banking on that because they're moving the Raiders to Las Vegas. Jonas Peterson enjoyed the California lifestyle and trips to the beach while living in Valencia. Good thing he got out. With his wife, a nurse, and their 2 young kids. But in 2013, he answered a call to head the Las Vegas Global Economic Alliance. That sounds important. And the family moved to Henderson, Nevada. We doubled the size of our house and lowered our mortgage payment, said Peterson, whose wife is focusing on the kids now instead of her career. Wow. Wow. What a thing, huh? Part of Peterson's job is to lure companies to Nevada, a state that runs on gaming money rather than tax dollars. There's no corporate income tax, no personal income tax, and the regulatory environment is much easier to work with. If I'm a corporation, like no corporate income tax, and I can get employees here, they don't have any tax. Wow. I bet that's going to change at some point, though, because the gaming industry is. A good friend of mine told me late last night that her boyfriend, was flying into Vegas yesterday So he had to go over Southern California, and he told her that the plane ride was terrifying. That the amount of turbulence and shaking and shuddering of the plane, everybody was white knuckling it all the way to Vegas. I hate that. I hate being in planes where there's huge amounts of turbulence. Not interested, because you're captive. You can't do anything about it. It's like you put your head between your legs and pray to God. That's it on the plane. Although one of my favorite movies is Fearless with Jeff Bridges, I have to say. Best thing I could have done, said retiree Michael J. Van Essen, who is paying $1,160 for one-bedroom apartment in Silver Lake. You know what? That's the rent in Austin right now. You're paying about $1,200 a month for one bedroom in Austin. I have a 3-bedroom. Guess what I pay? Because it's a luxury suite. Let's see what we got here. Let me go back to Michael here. Oh yeah. Then he bought a house with a creek behind it for $165,000 in Mason City, Iowa. Okay. So he's leaving. Okay, you know what Mason City, Iowa is famous for? That's where Buddy Holly died. That's where his plane crashed, Mason City, Iowa. Pays $500 a month less on his mortgage than he did in his rent in Los Angeles. So it's not just Las Vegas. People are leaving. People are leaving California. They've been leaving California for a while. If housing costs continue to rise, we should expect to see more people leaving high-cost areas, said Jed Kolko, an economist with UC Berkeley's Turner Center for Housing Innovation. Oh, get out of here. Stop that. Okay. Stop that. Oh, please. Thank you. Those little sneaky ass. Yeah, I have ad blocker. But they've gotten to this place now where they're embedding ads in a way that they figured out a workaround with ad blocker. Domestic migration. So the biggest points of domestic migration for California, guess where? Texas. And then for the Northeast, it's Florida. And both states not having any personal income tax is a big draw for the migration. But what's going to happen in California is that they're going to say, well, we've got to replace these people that are leaving. We need a tax base. So come on, immigrants, come on in. Come on, we need you. We're here for you. The other day I was at HEB down the road, and I was cashing in a winning lottery ticket for a whopping $3. And there was a guy ahead of me. It was a Spanish American, Latin American, whatever terminology you feel most comfortable with, fill in that blank. And he was sending money across the border. Very long process. I sat there and I watched. I watched what was going on. I was observing. That's what I do. I go out in the world and observe. I am a camera. And it took a long time. All these forms to fill out. So I've been thinking about this for a long time. And I've said it on the show before. One of the things that we can do, and I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I mean, everybody else is taxed. Tax all money that goes to Central and South America. Put a 15% border tax on it. That's all you got to do. And if people get hip to online services like PayPal, have a destination tax. That's all you got to do. It's easy to figure out. Easy to figure out. And you just take all that money, that 15% that gets taken out all the time, and then, I guess you could do whatever you want with it. You could support building a wall, which I think is kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. Although something better has got to exist, with than what we have now. I mean, let's be clear about that. I mean, what's there now is just completely flimsy. But I'm not necessarily, the big wall person. because walls keep you in as well as keep people out. Let's be clear about that. I think there's different ways of going about doing the whole thing. Like making people want to stay in Mexico. That would be a really interesting thing, now, wouldn't it? We don't want to go there anymore. Wouldn't that be cool, too? I mean, wouldn't that be interesting? Just like the days where there's nothing happening. What if all of a sudden they started to stop just coming to the United States? And, the Border Patrol is sitting around, what's going on here? We're not seeing people anymore. And all these officials are scratching their head. We're not getting people crossing the border. You have all the people who are, using people from Mexico and Central America for cheap labor. And they're like, whoa, something's going on here. What's happening? And all of a sudden it'd be like, we got to get people down to Mexico. We got to force these people up here. And they get them out of their homes at gunpoint. Get out of here! Go to America! Come on! In the middle of the night. Get out of here! Wouldn't that be interesting, though? Well, all of a sudden, nobody wants to come. That might happen one day, by the way. Not anytime soon, but if you incentivize people to stay in Mexico, why would they want to come? I mean, if they had a really good deal down there, if they were making decent money, could stay with their families, family-oriented culture, right? Why would they want to leave? All these people sitting around going, oh man, there goes our voter base. Speaking of voter base, there's a bunch of Venezuelans showing up now in Florida. That's the new migration wave. You have Puerto Ricans and Venezuelans showing up in Florida because, of course, Puerto Rico was devastated by the hurricane and Venezuela was devastated by the economy and the death of Hugo Chavez. So, immigration. Here's another little interesting tidbitty that I wanted to bring to your attention. And it might have something to do with the next story. And this is, just come on, punch up. Sometimes I love my computer. Oh, here we go. Here it is. As Yemen burns, Time readers vote Saudi Crown Prince Person of the Year. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has been voted the Time magazine readers Person of the Year, despite spearheading the continued bombardment of Yemen, leading to the starvation of its citizens. This is who we say we put our attention and our energy. This is who we praise. The laurels of the civilized world are heaped upon this man. He's a millennial. He got first prize here. The award goes to those, for better or worse, who influenced the year. The 32-year-old scored 24% of the votes, with the Me Too movement against sexual assault and harassment coming in second place with a modern 6% of the votes. Okay. So we have one of the candidates for the Antichrist coming in number one there, and number two, a movement. Not even a person, a movement. And they're soaking up 30% of the votes. In third place, you knew this was coming. With 5% of the vote, three candidates. Quarterback Colin Kaepernick, 49ers, former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick, for his Take a Knee movement. Special counsel for the Russia investigation, Robert Mueller. And the Dreamers, undocumented migrants who came to the U.S. as children. Bin Salman overtook Hillary Clinton, Vladimir Putin, and even the Pope to be crowned the people's choice, winning far more votes than the three combined. Well, the prince has been praised for pushing reform in the kingdom, such as finally allowing women to legally drive as of next June, Gemini date, and also has been the subject of a number of complimentary features in media outlets like the New York Times and the Guardian, and his foreign policy achievements are less than impressive. Of course, he's been carrying out a war. with the Yemenis. It's a mini splendor thing. Adam H. Johnson. Congrats to The Guardian on their new vertical PR firm for the Saudi government. Ben Norton. The Guardian is doing sycophantic PR for Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman as he arrests his rivals. Bin Salman has promised to modernize Saudi Arabia by diversifying the economy away from its dependence on oil, because they're losing it, loosening restrictions on entertainment, and reducing the power of the religious police. There you go. There's your person of the year. Oh, by the way, I've been on the record, and I'll say it again. Colin Kaepernick is going to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Trust me. If he doesn't win, he's going to come in second. But if I was living in Las Vegas right now, and I could put a bet somewhere in a casino on Colin Kaepernick to win a Nobel Peace Prize, I'd do it. I'd be the George Soros of Nobel Peace Prize winnings. The night he broke the bank in Las Vegas by betting on Colin Kaepernick. Well, there's more going on in the world. Yes, you thought that was it? You thought we were done? No, not even close. I was thinking about this Brian Ross guy who blurted out that Flynn was going to turn on Trump and he was going to spill the beans about Russia and the elections and yada, yada, yada. It didn't happen. It was never the case. And yet the comment had stark reverberations for the stock market and the economy. And then you had the apologists like ABC News. And I don't know if you caught Joy Behar on The View. But when that news broke, boy, they were giddy, and people in the ABC studio were cheering. I mean, the View studio were cheering. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. And of course, on Monday, well, we have to admit that perhaps we jumped the gun on that story. And the reason why we went all in on it is because Brian Ross has such a great background, and he's such a trusted reporter. No, he's not. He's a freaking liar. That's what he is. He's paid to spread fake news. That's what he's paid to do. I'm going to go on record again. Today's record day. Today's the record day. I'm going to go on record. Somebody in the media, something tragic is going to happen to one of these guys. I'm telling you right now. One of these dudes, probably wouldn't be a woman, but one of these dudes is going to get smoked. Something's going to happen. One day, somebody's going to say, and this will be probably real. It won't be one of these Manchurianized candidates. One of these days, some guy is just going to snap, and he's going to flip. And one of these guys who's been mouthing off and spreading, the cancerous and toxic propaganda and fake news and the distorted signal is gonna pay the price. Okay, I think it's going to be a dividing line right there. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And the reason why is because there's so much tension, and it's not abating. And this is the big challenge of the world we're living in. We have all this tension, but it never abates. We have all these events, but they never resolve. There's the phony resolve, like whatever happened in Sutherland Springs, Texas. And the guy's dead. Okay, well, a phony resolve. If anything there happened at all. And then with Las Vegas, it's like, what really happened there? And people did get hurt. They did die. I know people who were connected to the city. I know people who were connected to nurses there. Yes, things happened. It wasn't just some kind of fake event. No, things happened. People did get hurt. People died. This is one of the fallacies of the Las Vegas reportage on the alternative side. But I'm telling you, one of these days, something's going to happen because the tension has not abated. There's no closure, no real closure. You know what I mean? I mean, with like Vegas, there's no real closure. There's no. I mean, even on the gun side, let's say you're an anti-gun person. Where's your closure around that? You're probably shaking your fists, like, what more do we need? Right? So you're all fired up, you're jacked up. And on the other side, who died this stuff and says, well, hold on a second. There are anomalies right and left here. And nobody's coming clean. Nobody's telling the truth. And you're shaking your fists. So we have no resolution. And that just gets added to the bucket. And every day, every week, there's more added to the bucket. And the fake news comes out. Hey, we were lying. What happens to Brian Ross? He gets suspended for 4 weeks. I mean, this is a guy who literally shot off a torpedo to the American economy. I mean, the stock market tumbled heavily. And there are people who've invested in the stock market. And not just the 1%. I know average people who've invested in the stock market and made pretty good money off of it over the course since Trump has been elected. I have a funny story. Great guy that I know from California. He former detective. He's a former detective in California, and he served in the military. Super guy. And he's older, right? He's an older dude, but a super great guy. And he left this football forum that I had been a part of for many years, since around 2005 when I first, or 2003 when I first joined this forum. So about 15 years. And when I lived in California, we'd get together sometimes, either at a 49er game or for the NFL draft. And it was a lot of fun. So I've met him, hung out with him. Super guy, super wife. Just, classic American. He's a classic American. And when the protests started to happen, and the people on the board, probably about 30% are hard left. They've taken a hard left. And it came out that there was support for the kneelers and all that stuff. He just couldn't take it. He couldn't take it. He's a former police officer, and he's a military vet, right? Served in both, did both things. And he didn't want his profession besmirched by some spoiled punk wearing kill pigs socks, which is what Kaepernick was doing. Kill the pigs. He didn't want that. He couldn't support that. He knew people who died, right? I mean, what do you think of the cops? And I have my own kind of mixed opinion on them, to be honest with you. Some positive and some negative. Well, I don't want to get into it, but for this man, he probably knew people that died in the line of duty, protecting somebody, or whatever, right? I guarantee you it happened. And I guarantee you he saw the brutality of crime and had to go in and solve things. So for Colin Kaepernick to do that was an affront to this guy. And I don't blame him. He was upset about it. And he left the board. He'd been a long time member of this board. Just left, and he stopped watching football. Anyway, I sent him an email because I was giving some updates on what was happening. I actually came to his defense, and then I left. And he said to me, hey, life's good. We're doing great. I made a lot of money on the stock market thanks to Trump. And he listed Costco as one of his stocks that he did really well on. So he got his I'm just giving you an example of how somebody has done well in the stock market. And he's not part of the 1%. He's an average guy. Anyway, God, we live in interesting times. Totally interesting. Colin Kaepernick, guarantee you, I'm gonna put money down. That guy is gonna be Nobel Prize nominee or winner. But on the Brian Ross side, I mean, he was tasked. He was tasked to do what he did. It wasn't that he had false information. They wanted to use that information immediately to piggyback on it and drive momentum around something that's fake. And what's he going to do? He's going to have 4 weeks of pay suspended. He's going to be out for a month. Probably take a vacation, go somewhere. It's the holiday season. Time off for him. He'll come back. He'll work low-level assignments for ABC, and they'll work him back up again, and he'll bust some fake news on us. But I'm telling you, at some point, there's going to be that tipping point, and somebody is going to pay the price for it. If I was a member of the media, I guess I kind of am, but I'm like, I'm on the rings of Saturn. But if I was a member of the media, I'd be a little cautious. I would be, especially if it's like high-level media stuff, because people are finding out all the time that this stuff is bullshit. And I mean, do you think that 4 weeks without pay fits what he did? I don't think so at all. I mean, the guy should have lost his job. Period. End of story. I would not be surprised if maybe somebody sues him. Wouldn't that be nice? All of a sudden now Brian Ross has got to hire a lawyer. And because they lost money in the stock market. All right, I'm going to stop that one. All right, let's cover one more piece here today. This is interesting. This is the big ticket item. I've been saving it for last. Here comes your nice, medium rare roast. Nice slice of roast, right? With some horseradish and a nice baked potato. This is it. I like that stuff. I haven't had that. I haven't had a roast in a long time, but I love it. Here we go. Prophecy Central. Trump to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Forge ahead with moving the U.S. Embassy. That's not exactly true. Here we go. This is Fox News, and they're like, that's the Trump Pence. Trump to recognize Jerusalem as Israeli capital.
Happening today.
Hey, stop it!
Expected to make good on another campaign promise, set to announce that the U.S. will officially.
No, just not. Thanks. All right, let me read this to you here. President Trump on Wednesday will order the State Department to begin moving U.S. Embassy in Israel to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. Senior administrator said a move that fulfills a campaign promise. Let me just click on this thing here. Some websites load fun like Fox. Fox is, and I don't go to Fox. I just wanted to read the story. It loads terribly. Hold on. Ooh, Matt for not being of good standing. Come on, man. Sorry. President Trump on Wednesday will order the State Department to begin moving the U.S. Embassy to Israel to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. Senior administrator officials said a move that fulfills a campaign promise made to religious conservatives, but one that could inflame tensions across the Middle East. This is my best news voice. In his announcement, Trump will say that the U.S. government recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. One official described it as an honest acknowledgement of a 7-decade-old fact. While President Trump recognizes that the status of Jerusalem is a highly sensitive issue, he does not think it will be resolved by ignoring the simple truth that Jerusalem is home to Israel's legislature, its Supreme Court, the Prime Minister, and as such, the capital of Israel, one official said. The U.S. will be the first country to move its embassy to Jerusalem, which is claimed by both Israelis and Palestinians. other countries have diplomatic relations with Israel to keep their embassies in Tel Aviv. But the embassy move could not be immediate and could take at least 3 or 4 years. Now, this is from Zero Hedge. This is a total Trumpian move. Okay. I just have to wait till this loads as well. It'd be nice to just have it right on the screen. We just pop right into that transition, but no. I have to wait and reload the page. It's coming. You think of or something. Remember the days of Earthlink? That dial-up account? Oh, come on. Gotta find this again. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, I just found it again. Reloading. Apparently, Trump is going to delay the plan. So here from Zero Hedge, Trump now said the plan is 6-month delay on Jerusalem embassy move. So this is December 5th. It was yesterday. In a stunning reversal, Bloomberg is now reporting Trump is considering a 6-month waiver before moving U.S. embassy to Jerusalem. The report doesn't say anything about whether Trump still plans to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital tomorrow morning. That move to Jerusalem won't be immediate. Trump to sign another 6-month waiver. Trump plans a 6-month waiver on embassy move. Meanwhile, Hamas is planning a day of rage protest of Trump's impending decision. Leaders have called for a confrontation with Israel after Friday morning's prayers. So Jim Scioto says, breaking, Trump is expected to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel during a Wednesday announcement in Washington. CNN is reporting that Trump will officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel during a Wednesday announcement in Washington. Update, with local news reporting that Trump and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, one of the most trusted allies in the region, it's becoming clear that Trump is calling leaders in the region prepare for the U.S. decision to move the embassy to Jerusalem. The decision will likely outrage much of the region. But he's got a 6-month waiver on it. This whole thing is strange. But it's total Trump, right? Sun, Gemini, Uranus, Gemini, conjunction. As we noted earlier, the decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital would infuriate Palestinians. Majdi Khaldi, a diplomatic advisor of President Mahmoud Abbas, said the Palestinian leadership would stop contacts with the U.S. if Trump recognized Jerusalem, making Jared Kushner's job of solving the Israel-Palestine conflict even more difficult than it already is. Can you believe Jared Kushner is the guy who's supposed to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? Can you believe that? I would love to see what Jared Kushner would do without the connections and influence of his family and his community. Let's see what would happen. You know what happened? He'd be working at McDonald's. Sorry. Well, maybe he'd be working at a .com. He might be working at a .com somewhere. I'll give him that. Anyway, this whole thing is very interesting. And it's in alignment with prophecy. You know, this is where things get really sticky. This is the tick, 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 tick of the Armageddon clock. If that happens. Sheldon Adelson, who is one of Trump's biggest, and I mean biggest, backers, has been furious that Trump hasn't done this sooner. So, I don't know. We'll find out today if that waiver is actually going to happen, that 6-month waiver. Says Trump was expected to announce as soon as Wednesday that the U.S. would recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital, move its embassy there, though some expected he would delay the embassy move, but stressed that he would eventually like to do so, according to local media. It's Israeli media. Israel considers Jerusalem its true capital, and the western part of the city is host to many of the Israeli state's administrative functions. If Trump follows through with what he told the boss, his actions would be considered more dramatic. than anticipated. Let me look at some of the comments. Let's see. All the tards will hate this. I said at least Obama stood up to nuts Yahoo for a fraction of a second. He got a Iran nuclear deal done. Obama did not like Netanyahu. He didn't. That's the one thing about Obama I did like. It's the one thing. He was a thorn in the side of that guy. Okay. Oh boy. All right, well, there we go. Here we go. It's on. It's on, apparently. We'll see what happens with the 6-month waiver. Trump is tricky. Trump is crafty. And I don't necessarily think he wants it there. That's my take on it. I don't think he wants it there. But I think that because of the pressure, the internal pressure, they're forcing him to do that. Anyway. All right. So I think that's about it for today's show. We covered a lot of ground today, as we always do here on 15 Minutes of Flame, which is really now stretched into an hour, pretty much. Yeah, an hour. Tomorrow we'll be back again, although I don't know. I don't know. I may not be in tomorrow's show. I may not be. Fortunately, my mother was hospitalized last night in California, and she had to go to emergency, and I don't know quite what the status is yet today. But if I need to, I'm going to have to catch a flight and go back to California tomorrow for a few days, make sure she's okay. So I'm just giving you a heads up. So if I'm not on the show tomorrow, it's because I'm flying. However, you can still get in touch with me via my website, robertphoenix.com. Comments on the YouTube page. If you like this show, if you like this broadcast, please hit the like button on the YouTube video. I need to kind of build up my stats a little bit. And tell your friends. Tell your friends that you listen to this crazy guy in the morning. And I think I'm up. I started off about 6 months ago with about 2,000, about 2,900 subscribers about 4 or 5 months ago. And I think I'm about up to 3,500 now. So I've grown this thing by about 600 subscribers. Slowly we're getting up there. You know, the goal is to get to right around 10K. If I can get 10K, boy, you know, all of a sudden YouTube's got to pay attention to me. You know, they've got us like, oh, okay, we got to, you know, apparently if you get 10,000 subscribers, you get your own YouTube person. That's what happens. They deal with you directly. So if you like this, tell your friends about it. Send them an email. Just say, hey, listen to this crazy guy in the morning. And subscribe. The more subscribers, the more numbers, the better it is. You know, and it's just. I mean, we live in that world. I don't pimp for it much, but you know, let's get the ball rolling here a little bit. Clock's ticking. 57 years old. I'd like to have some level of worldly measured success before I take the last breath. Let's get on it. I'll be doing hopefully this weekend, unless my mother is in a not so great a state, and I'm not talking about the not so great state of California, which she currently is, but I'm going to be doing a webinar on Capricorn, Saturn Capricorn on Astrolata. Go to astrolata.com and you can find out all about that webinar, sign up for it. It'll be a cool thing. I got to get on Facebook and promote that a little bit. And I'm also working on a Corey Feldman piece, because I said I would. It's a Mercury retrograde deal. So I'm working on a Corey Feldman piece. I'm finding out some bizarre stuff about Corey Feldman. And I'm just scratching the surface. Do you know his sister was one of the Musketeers? Like, there was like a... And I'm not talking about the Britney Spears version, you know, where there's Christina Aguilera and Ryan Gosling, who was a Musketeer. That's funny, isn't it? It was the group before that. It was when they brought back the Musketeers. So his sister was one of them. His dad was a singer-songwriter, or actually more of a songwriter, and very he wrote some hits. His dad wrote some big hits. His dad, in conjunction with two other guys, most notably Richard Goddard, the record producer. I think Richard Goddard produced the Go-Go's. Am I right about that? Question mark. They produced that song, I Want Candy. They wrote that song, I Want Candy. Anyway, lots of high strange with the Corey Feldman thing. Working on that now. Apparently there's Corey Feldman news breaking today, so it might behoove me to finish that piece. That's it. I think we're there. So you know the drill. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to stay up on what's possible. Right? And just keep on treating yourself well. Eat good food. Eat the right food. Take in really good content. Right? Don't take in any garbage content. Leave the garbage content behind. And cultivate your spiritual relationship with yourself at the highest level. That's what it's all about. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. If not,